After 2 months of reckless self-indulgence in Las Vegas, Aramazd Andressian was arrested for the murder of his son, even though 5-year-old Peaky's body was yet to be found.
So when we did that stretch, how many miles did that make?
Los Angeles County Sheriff's homicide detectives Lou Aguilera and Mark Boisford had worked the case tirelessly from the beginning. They were hoping to see an end.
We interviewed him at the jail in Las Vegas, and that interview once again went nowhere.
Once he was brought back to LA County, his initial plea at arraignment was not guilty.
Andressian gave up nothing about the location of his son. Punishment for Peaky's family still clinging to a sliver of hope. Benny believing perhaps Andressian's mother might be hiding the child.
All I thought was that he was safe, you know. I thought nothing could happen to him.
No matter how unrealistic it might be, I think that victims' families will hold on to hope as long as they possibly can. Just the way he behaved, it was clear that he knew that nobody was going to find his son alive.
It was time for the child's mother, Ana Estevez, to face the crushing reality.
I was brutally honest with her. I told her, I hope I'm wrong, but I think he killed your son.
You had to be honest.
I had to. I don't want to, and I didn't want to give her a false sense of hope.
Anna was mired in grief, but displayed unwavering dignity, continuing to search for her child.
My son knew me as a strong woman, a woman who didn't give up, and I need to be that person for him. That's who he knew, and that's who he would expect me to be, and that's who I'm trying to be.
With their suspect behind bars, detectives are left pondering just what kind of calculating chess game Andressian would force them to play in order to get Peaky home. But in this case came a shocking, almost surreal turn of events. There would be no gamesmanship or resistance. Aramazd Andressian's defiance was spent.
He wanted to talk about the case, and he wanted to let me know where his son was buried and what happened.
There was no plea deal offered to him, no promises of leniency, nothing. Andressian stunningly wanted to confess. Then what he told cops was nothing short of evil.
The manner in which he killed him was particularly cruel. His son was asleep in a car seat in the back of the car. His father, who was supposed to be protecting him, who's supposed to be taking care of him, stops the car, gets out of the car, and then uses Aramazd Jr.'s sweatshirt to smother him. And not only that, but once he had finished smothering his son and let go, when he let go, his son, his body was still twitching, so Aramazd Sr. smothered him again.
And finally, Andressian told sheriff's detectives where to find little Peaky.
The area was an observation point for the Bradbury Dam. It's called Vista Point. It's mountain-esque.
Precious Peaky had been left alone in the cold, remote elements for 2 long months. Was he buried at all?
He wasn't. He was laid out under a tree with some shrubbery on top of him. The suspect had changed him and put him in pajamas and rested him there up against a tree.
A wretched, unthinkable murder of his own flesh and blood. But why did he confess? The prosecution's case was strong, but largely circumstantial, and no body murder cases are rare.
Was that to save the public, the family, from a trial, or did he do this for selfish reasons? What was he facing?
Aramazd Sr. was, and actually is, one of the most selfish people I've ever seen. It's our belief that he pled guilty because he knew that if there was a trial, all of the horrible details about his behavior would become public in a trial, and he wanted to avoid that.
Cops knew Andressian's pride and image were more important than his son or his freedom.
I think it's what we did for the months prior. I think we broke him down. We made it a point to have the media on board with everything we did, and we made it a point to exploit him for what we knew he was. He didn't like being in the suicide vest that you see him wearing in court, it's demeaning to him, and he hates it. And he asked me, what can you do to get me out? Get me out of this suicide watch. I don't want to be wearing this. This is embarrassing.
If Andressian thought pleading guilty would spare him further public humiliation, he was sorely mistaken.
My family has lost a piece of themselves. I have lost a piece of myself. Today is my birthday. My first birthday in the last 5 years without my baby cousin.
It's sentencing day, and Peaky's family floods the courtroom with raw, heart-crushing emotion.
For Aramazd Andressian Jr, I pity you. You are a failure as a father, you are a failure as a man, and you are a failure as a human being. I hope you relive the image of you murdering my baby every day for the rest of your insignificant life. And when you die, may your dark soul burn in the eternal flames of hell, for I have no doubt that justice will be served on you both in this life and the next.
Then the words no one expected to hear.
My client would like to make a brief statement, Your Honor.
The riveted courtroom was eager to hear what this child killer had to say, but he changed his mind.
Mr. Andressian, you do have the right to make a statement. That statement must be under oath and subject to cross-examination. Do you wish to make a statement or to give any testimony or not? No? Okay.
Instead, Andressian's attorney tried to show good faith on his client's part.
I can't think of a situation that I know of or been in 20 years where a plea of guilty to first-degree murder happened so quickly. That was my client's wishes from the very beginning.
A comment that seemed absurd to family members and cops, considering the 2 months Andressian partied in Vegas while his son's body rotted away. Nothing Andressian or his lawyer had to say would have made any difference. The sentence was set in stone.
As to count 1, violation of Penal Code Section 187A, murder in the first degree, premeditated murder. The defendant is to be sentenced to state prison for 25 to life.
Andressian received the maximum sentence for a non-death penalty first-degree murder case.
There just wasn't enough evidence to prove the special circumstance that would have subjected him to the death penalty. Believe me, if there was, we would have filed it.
When it was finally over, Ana Estevez graciously paid tribute to 27 different police agencies who dedicated themselves to a very difficult case, especially these 2 LA Sheriff's homicide detectives who wouldn't sleep until justice was done.
I've said it before and I'll say it again. You are my heroes, and I am eternally indebted to you both.
But there's another bitter element to this horrific story. Ana had fought child services like a warrior for sole custody of her child. She so feared Andressian's ill intentions that she had a dash camera installed in her car so there was a record of every interaction. In the end, her fight for full custody was denied. Ana points a harsh finger at social workers.
I believe you are partially responsible for my son's death.
Ana's anger toward child services workers and the juvenile justice system was so deep, she delivered a public bashing to those she was forced to deal with.
How dare you say that once a case is closed, you do not reopen it, even after being asked repeatedly to further investigate allegations? How dare you say that Aramazd Sr. kicking my son on his bottom and pinching his cheeks and yelling in his face that he was a bad boy was not enough to change custody, that it was simply bad parenting.
As for Andressian, the sole purpose for his despicable actions was pure revenge.
It seemed clear that Aramazd Sr.'s hatred for Ana Estevez, the mother of their child, was so strong that he was willing to do anything he could to hurt her.
Yes, he has hurt her irreparably and eternally, but Ana Estevez will not allow Aramazd Andressian the power to make her lose her soul or forget what she plans to do to keep the legacy of her precious son alive.
So this is the tree that I selected for Peaky. I chose it because I thought it was something that Peaky would love. He's a bright, beautiful ray of sunshine in the lives of everyone who met him, and even those who haven't, because he's brought a lot of love to a lot of people.
A special tree and stone serve as a memorial to a special son.
He may have been robbed his life, but he wasn't robbed his legacy. It will live on forever.
Unfortunately, the decisions that were made in my court case gave my ex-husband the tools to murder my son, and that should never happen. Every person needs to be an advocate, regardless of whether or not they have children. Everyone needs to protect children.
Ana Estevez is currently working with lawmakers in Washington, D.C., pushing for new guidelines on custody cases. If passed, it would change the way the courts make custody decisions when violence is alleged. The new House resolution receiving praise from L.A. County Sheriff Jim McDonald.
I think the real positive is what Anna's trying to do now, is trying to ensure that this doesn't happen to other kids, to other families.
Since 2008, 624 children have been murdered by a parent. I'm Chris Hansen. If you like this story, make sure you tune in every day to Crime Watch Daily. You can find where the show airs in your city at crimewatchdaily.com. Watch it live or record it on your DVR and watch it at night. And to all those criminals out there, remember, we are watching.